Hello there, this is Ajit Navlaka, and in this video we are talking about 5 daily habits of successful coaches. And these 5 habits are not limited in the sense like, oh, these are the 5 habits, and once you do these habits, you'll become a successful coach. But it's more so that more successful coaches tend to follow these 5 habits for sure. Okay, so we're going to go over 5 specific habits. I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to show you how you can bring them to your life. The first habit that you want to absolutely have, in case you don't have it just yet, is to set intention for the day. One of the things that happens in humanity right now is we don't start our day with intention. You know what we start our day with? Our phones. And that means we are setting ourselves up to somebody else's intention for the day. When you open an email, that means you're responding to somebody else's intention to that day. If you open Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever that is that you start your day with, you are setting yourself up to the intention of the person that is posting at that time or has posted last night, has engagement, and so on and so forth. If you want to have an effective, powerful day, the first thing that you want to do before you do anything else is to set a great intention for yourself, to set yourself up for focus, for attention to what is the most important thing for that day. So intention is the first habit that you want to have. How does one go about setting a great intention? There are 2 ways that people tend to follow to set great intentions. First is to review the intention of the day the night before and set the intention of the day for the next day before you go to bed. This is where you would sit down with a journal, a notepad, and you would go, what was my intention for the day today? Did I fulfill it? Did I move in that direction? Acknowledge it, and then go on to write what's my intention for tomorrow. That's a great way to set an intention. If you're somebody who knows that in the morning they have too much happening and they won't be able to get that first 20 minutes to really focus on what their intention of the day would be. This is typical for if you're a parent. I'm a parent myself. My intentions are usually set the night before and not in the morning off. And that's mostly because I have a 3-year-old at home and a 6-week-old at home, which means my morning is chaotic and I have no time to be able to set an intention. I can only do that after 10 a.m. or so if I don't do it the night before. The second way to set intention is to wake up in the morning and before you do anything, set the intention for the day. When you wake up, take a deep breath in or a couple of deep breaths in and then ask yourself this simple question. What is my intention for the day? What do I want to accomplish today? What is it that I want to focus on today? Now, the answer to all 3 questions might be same or different. What you're really setting yourself up for is what is it that is important to you that day. Knowing what's your intention for the day will make it a priority. And because it'll make it a priority, you'll tend to focus on it. And if you'll focus on it, you're more likely to actually achieve the goal that you set yourself up to. A lot of things are coming at you. A lot of things need your attention. You staying focused and being intentional about what you want will create great outcomes for you. And that brings me to the second discipline that you need to practice to become a more successful coach. And that is to be in an optimal state. You see, we tend to be in different states in a particular day, right? We have different events that happen. We are excited, not excited, so on and so forth. Our states are always changing based on what's happening around us because we are reactors. Our brain, our mind is a reactor. It looks at things that are happening around it and it reacts to it. And that changes our state. We are constantly in an upbeat state or not upbeat state or whatever that state might be, but we are in some kind of state, always. And our progress between stages of life is a direct proportion of how good our state is on a daily basis. Are we more optimal in being able to do the work that needs to be done, do the job that needs to be done, learn as much as we can to be able to create the outcomes on a day-to-day basis that will overall compound over time to create the big stage transformation that we are looking for in our lives. So to go from a new coach, somebody who's just barely making anything, barely getting started, to somebody that makes $10,000 a session, it's very much to do with being in an optimal state over a considerable amount of time that will then change your stage of your career, change the stage of the outcomes that you get from a new coach to a coach that gets paid $10,000 a session. I want to give you 3 tools that will help you create a more optimal state for yourself. A more optimal state is a state where you're excited, you're pumped, you're motivated, you want to do things, you are excited about the outcomes that can potentially happen, you are in a place of joy, you're in a place of bliss, right? So that state is the most optimal state to get anything done. That you have challenge in your environment, but you have excitement that matches that challenge, right? And you will be in a state of constant creation and growth. So what are the 3 things that you can do to be able to be in that state? First thing that you can do is gratitude. You can maintain a gratitude journal, or you can have a gratitude practice where you express your gratefulness for things that have already happened for you, through you, and things that are just around you that create the experience of life for you. So find the time of the day, ideally the morning or the evening or both, where you sit down with your journal for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and write down everything that you're grateful for. Making that a practice, reminding yourself of the things that are great in your life, triggers more happy, joyous moments in your life, giving you a more optimal state. The second thing that will bring you to an optimal state is physical activity. It doesn't have to be some really tough workout. It can be something simple. It can be something that involves a little bit of movement. It can be just a simple walk in the park, whatever it may be. But if you have physical activity embedded in your daily routine, you will find that right after the activity, you'll have more energy, you'll be vibrating at a higher frequency. So to change your state to a more optimal state, find ways to get into physical activity on a daily basis. And thirdly is meditation. Meditation is an amazing, amazing practice to calm your nerves, to be able to lean into your soul, to be able to lean into your heart, and your heart is always full. Your heart is always ready to bring you back into the more optimal state. So if you meditate, if you bring a meditation practice to your reality, to your day-to-day activity, you'll find that your state, your more optimal state, is more easily accessible, and that you are a lot more in that state, a lot more easily and a lot more consistently. Which brings me to the third discipline of a very successful coach, life coach, business coach, health coach, whatever type of coach you are. And that is to feed your mind. You need to constantly feed your mind with amazing information. We get so distracted with useless information, and we feed our mind that information, and our mind thinks that must be important. It takes it in and tries to process it, and then realizes it is meaningless information and never uses it again. If you don't feed your mind with good information, good quality information consistently on a daily basis, you'll find it harder for you to be able to create progress. You'll find it harder for you to really be able to get those ideas in your mind, get that creativity going that can create great outcomes for you. Now, let me tell you what is not good information, or when I say feed your mind, what I don't mean by that is I don't mean blog posts. Blog posts are great, but because most of the blog posts are written with the intention of a call to action, or where the person who wrote the blog post wants you to do something as the next step, they are usually half of the information. A lot of times it's misguided information. A lot of times it's not a well-researched document. What you want to do instead is take full programs, read detailed white papers, read and watch information that is long form, so you can actually learn the complexity of the whole thing and genuinely feed your mind with good, useful information. If you are somebody who's looking for a way to feed your mind good, useful information all the time, I really invite you to check out what we are doing with EverCoach membership. In EverCoach membership, we are giving you structured information for a fraction of the cost by the top teachers in the coaching industry. I really invite you to go check out the link below. If the program is still available for enrollment, you should totally consider that to enhance your experience, enhance your learning in coaching abilities. The fourth discipline that is vital to the success of a coach and to make you a really successful coach is your practice of emotional management. You see, as events happen during the course of the day, there are points where you are struck by an emotion, and that emotion can be very intense. Like, for example, you have a conversation with a client and the client says, listen, I can't work with you no more. That emotion can take over your entire body for the rest of the day, right? So say, for example, your day was going fine, you had good intentions, you started it right, and now you did workout. So you're in the optimal state, you've learned something, you've done great, and now you have a coaching conversation. The client says, I have to discontinue the contract, and now you're in an emotional state, and that emotional state will keep staying through the rest of the day, either really prominently or subtly, but it'll keep playing out for the rest of the day, even sometimes into the night, because you lost a contract, right? An event happened, an emotion got triggered, and if we don't manage this emotion, it's going to destroy the rest of the day because it'll just own that whole space, right? What you do want instead is you do your practices, emotion hits. You have a tool to manage this emotion, and you limit the exposure that you have to this emotion so you can get back to your day and create the outcomes that you want. It's a lot about how you deal with your emotions at the time when they're appearing in your life that will change what will happen with the rest of the day and the rest of your life. If you let your emotions own you while they're not being productive, you'll find yourself in a negative spiral. And once you get into a negative spiral and you don't have the tools to get out of it, find yourself finding it harder and harder to get out of that spiral. So my invitation for you is to build effective emotional management tools so you can limit the exposure of the emotion and then move on with your life and create better outcomes. One of the techniques to manage your emotions is to firstly fully experience it. Don't try to shove it. Don't try to put it under your back pocket. Don't try to say it didn't happen. Fully experience it. If an emotion is coming up, go, oh, seems like fear, you're showing up. Seems like concern, you're showing up. Feels like anger, you're showing up. And then you say, okay, anger, what's up? What's happening? Let's see where it's happening in our body. Let's see where it's happening in what's happening. What's the story that we're telling ourselves that the anger is kind of propagating or fear is propagating or whatever the emotion is propagating is keep building on and on and on. Once you experience the emotion in your body, you know it's there, you brought awareness to it. Now it is time for you to calibrate this emotion to find what is it that is triggering this emotion, why is it triggering this emotion, and is there an alternative thought? Is there a more empowered thought and a more empowered thinking pattern that you can use that will help you be able to get past that emotion much more easily? So find that thinking pattern that is triggering this emotional response for you and change it to a more empowered thinking pattern. And the last discipline of wildly successful coaches is that they write and that they reflect. You see, we all have big experiences happening in our lives right now, especially as a coach, because you are not only living the experience of your own life, you're living or at least experiencing or are very aware to the experience of your clients' lives. So a lot happens. And if there is no way to really process that, you will keep taking it on without ever processing it. Which is why it's highly recommended that as a coach, you take a notebook, you use that as your reflective journal. We suggest that you write it because when you write it, it has a different kind of meaning instead of typing it or verbalizing it. But if that is your style, that is your style. And if it works for you, it works for you. I'm not attached to writing it. I prefer writing myself. Just go ahead and write and reflect as to what happened in the day. How was the day? How were some of these coaching sessions? What came up for you when you were in that experience? What came up for your coaching experience? What came up for you as a human being? And what is it that really needs to be reflected upon? What is it that you really need to kind of process for you to be able to release what happened and take on only the learning experience of whatever happened in the day? So write and reflect pretty much every day. This writing and reflecting will also become a great thing to revisit in years from now. So I really encourage you to start writing and reflecting your daily experiences of being a coach. So we talked about 5 disciplines that you need to consider to become a very, very wildly successful coach, right? The first principle was intention. Have an intention for the day. Second discipline was to maintain optimal state. Find ways to be more optimized as your state. The third discipline was to feed your mind. Constantly feed your mind with great information. Not just blog posts, but sequential, deep, meaningful information so you can constantly keep learning. Fourth was emotional release and management. Don't let these emotions take over your entire day. Manage them, release them so you can get on with your life and create greater outcomes. And the fifth discipline that we talked about was to write and reflect. Write and reflect so you can keep creating progress from the experience that you've had. How did you enjoy this video? And which of these disciplines you already have and which are the ones you're going to incorporate? Share with me in the comment section below. I am sure you like this video, so go ahead and hit that like button. If there's a friend of yours that can really use this information, share it with them. If you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button so we can send you a new video every single week on this channel about how you can become an even more extraordinary coach. Thank you so much for watching. This is Ajit Navlakha, and you're watching this on Ever Coach.